going on to its backup plan. Tarmogoyf, a little bit of counter magic, some Vendilion clicks. And now, in his deck list, it's kind of amusing. He has written down under the Planeswalker section, in all caps, 2 Dryad Arbor, exclamation point, exclamation point.
Yes.
So they're going to be our honorary Planeswalkers here for John Sukenik.
Yeah. So there you have Ely on the right, and Jonathan on the left. These are both of these decks. You know, neither of them are rogue decks. They're both known quantities on the in the Legacy format. But they're 2 of the more exciting decks in my opinion, and personally I'm a big fan of Reanimator lately. So Ely does the classic turn 1, draw, no land drop, discard a reanimation target. Can't quite see what it is, but I believe it's Jin-Gitaxias, because I think that's a Phyrexian watermark there. And it's blue, so I'm almost positive that's Jin-Gitaxias. Jonathan actually led turn 1 with a Noble Hierarch, and before Ely discarded that Gitaxias.
Now he's using my favorite Brainstorm, Ice Age Brainstorm.
That one draws 4 cards, right?
No. But it's got the scary looking guy in the middle of it.
Oh, it's 5 cards. 5 cards. Jeremy corrects it. It's 5 cards, put 1 back. Oh, don't put any back. Oh, wow. That's pretty good. Christopher Rush really knows how to...
Well, actually, it is possible that he can use a Brainstorm and have it be a portion of a 5 or even 6 cards with the use of Sylvan Library.
Yeah. Don't make it sound like we actually mean what we're talking about, mean what we're saying here. Alright, so resolves a Brainstorm, plays a Wooded Foothills, which he immediately cracks. Now, one of the other feature matches, which we're not likely to see on camera, depending on how long this goes, but features a guy, Alex Bertonochili, I believe is what they said the name was.
That's how they announced it, as a fun joke for the room.
Yeah, it was pretty funny. Everybody got a good laugh out of that. Alex Bertoncini, of course, here. So, Tarmogoyf on John's side of the board and resolves. So, on John's side, we have Volcanic Island, Tropical Island, Noble Hierarch, Tarmogoyf. Ely plays his first permanent of the game, Basic Island. He does, however, have a Jin-Gitaxias in the graveyard, which is quite relevant right now.
That card is so incredible in this deck.
So Jonathan with another Brainstorm. These are main phase Brainstorms, by the way.
Main phase Brainstorm is actually the Brainstorm of choice for the most part within Legacy.
Well, it just makes sense just digging a little bit deeper, but you know, it's a very versatile card, and that's one of the best reasons that one of the big reasons that I want to play Legacy, just because of just being able to play a card like Brainstorm. So Brainstorm gets misstepped and misstep.
Yep, Ely missteps, John missteps, Brainstorm resolves.
Ely is not trying to allow Jonathan to find ways to either dig to his own combo or fight Ely's reanimation spells. At this point, Ely just needs to get that Jin-Gitaxias into play, and that really will put the opponent on the back foot. If the Jin sticks around for just a short amount of time, that's usually game. So Ely, one island in play after getting smashed a bit by that Tarmogoyf. It's a 3/4, I'm gonna say. Yeah, creature instant land. Ely plays plays a Polluted Delta. Took 4 from that Goyf due to the Exalted triggered off that Hierarch. But so Ely should be at 16. Oh, I'm sorry, he should actually be at 14, I think, because did he pay for that misstep with life or
he cast it with mana.
Okay, missed that. So 16 is correct. Jonathan cracks his Misty Rainforest. for a Taiga.
If I remember correctly, Ely has the most valuable version of every card in his deck.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he's running Beta, Underground Seas, and there's that island that's a pretty nice one.
Yeah, it's like the Guru lands.
There's the foil foreign brainstorm.
Japanese brainstorm, possibly. That's my favorite brainstorm. Not because it's foil Japanese, but that artwork. I like that.
That's the wimpy brainstorm. Jonathan Sukenik has the good brainstorm.
I like both actually, but I think I like the I don't actually like the artwork as much on the Chris Rush brainstorm. I don't think it's as good, but I like it because it's classic. Think the artwork on Ely's brainstorm, on the Dieter Litzy brainstorm, is actually better artwork.
Your knowledge of the artists is really amazing. I'm not gonna lie.
I started as an art major in college, switched to video and film, but I paid attention to that. That was what attracted me to the game. I was like, hey, there's this neat game with all this cool art. I just want to play it so I can look at the art. Like a lot of times I would just watch people play for a long time. Before I played for a few months, I just like to hang around and watch people play because I just like to see the artwork. But then I thought, I'm gonna get into this too.
So we see the brainstorm still being quote unquote pondered by Ely Kassis.
So Ely
puts his 2 back.
Yeah,
he's like, I put back 2. That's good.
Yeah.
He's
switching them around. Yeah.
They were off in the facing with the sleeves.
Yeah.
And then Ely untaps during his upkeep, activates the fetch land here, the polluted delta, and he's going to get a swamp, making him immune from a wasteland. A wasteland noteworthy here does not exist in the No Rug list being piloted by John Sukenik.
Nor is it in Ely's list. So no wastelands happening here, even though that's typically a format staple. One thing I want to point out, and I know this, maybe I'm getting ahead of myself here, but somebody mentioned this yesterday, I believe, yesterday or Friday on Twitter, and it was something I wanted to mention here, and now I'm seeing it. In Ely's sideboard, 1 copy of Phantasmal Image.
That's awesome.
Phantasmal Image showing up now in Legacy. Now, we saw Metamorph showing up in Legacy, but Phantasmal Image now, I think, taking that place. Now, Ely just cast Exhume. Taking a look quickly at Jonathan's graveyard to make sure there's no creatures in there for Jonathan to get back, and there are none. Ely, however, has a Jin Gitaxias in his graveyard. So Jonathan going to have to answer this or the Jin Gitaxias pretty quickly. Looks like he has some sort of answer. And it is that a Vendilion Click? It is. Vendilion Click. And Ely says fine.
And there's Exhume and some other fun stuff.
Yeah, I have an Exhume and some Spell Pierce, Exhume, Ponder, and 2 foil fetch lines. I want to say they're both Misty Rain Forests.
Now, from what I found out recently at the last major event, the Underground Sea that Ely has there, I was like, oh, it's probably worth $300, and Ari was like, try another digit. That's a $1,200 or $1,300 Underground Sea right there.
Pretty big decision here for Jonathan. Right now, depending on what Jonathan's got in his hand, it's going to be trouble. So yeah, I think if I were Jonathan, that's what I would have taken. Take the Exhume, put it on the bottom, and now, Force of Will that Exhume, removes a Daze. So Ely now, we know he has Spell Pierce, but is unable to, well, actually, that's an Underground Sea. Yeah, he's going to Spell Pierce the Force of Will, and we have a Mental Misstep from Jonathan. Depending on what Ely drew, it all really depends on what Ely drew, which does not appear to be enough. So Ely unable to protect that Exhume. and Jonathan only added to the pressure on the board. Jonathan, though, empty-handed, besides the card he's about to draw for his turn. So Goyf and Vendilion Click both into the red zone, gonna take Ely down, take a pretty decent chunk out of the life total now.
There's not much left here for Ely. He's got to do something immediately, basically.
The sorcery has been added to the graveyard since Goyf last attacked, I believe. Alright, so Ponder decides to shuffle. Ely had pretty decent protection for his reanimation spell there, but Jonathan had just the right cards to combat that protection.
A good friend of mine was looking for a deck for Gen Con, and Ely Kassis' list was the list I recommended for him when he went, just because if you're somebody that is kind of a more old school legacy player, you remember the power of a deck like Reanimator, but there's also this really great thing. You have such powerful effects when you reanimate these creatures, and you've got really great tutors, that Reanimator is a deck that if you understand how reanimation works, even though there's some new cards in it, you can just, get real good effects out of it without having to know the particular current format perfectly well.
Yeah, that's a good point. Kind of the core of the deck is more about, I think really what changes most in the deck are the targets, the reanimation targets.
Yeah, so. And the reanimation targets are the same kinds of things that existed in the past. They're all role players. Mm-hmm. What do you need done? Well, tutor that up. What's your brute force? Well, it's your 3 Jin-Gitaxis. Now we see they're going to the sideboarding now. Ely Kassis falling really hard after the disruption from Jonathan Sukenik, put on with big pressure. You'll notice that Progenitus never came into play here. Yeah. This might be no rug, but that's not how the deck is required to win.
Right, exactly
this is
as we were saying earlier. Yeah.
Not a combo deck in the sense where it's racing desperately towards its combo. It's a deck that includes a combo-rific Progenitus.
Yeah.
And it's okay if the Progenitus never sees play.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, like you mentioned earlier, kind of looked like like a next level blue deck.
I think previous level blue. It looked like previous level blue in the way that it was coming in.
Right, the Goyfs and the clicks. So, going to the sideboard. As I mentioned, Ely has Phantasmal Image in the sideboard, which is relevant in this matchup to take care of an opposing Progenitus. Copying a Progenitus is one of the best ways to deal with it, considering it has protection from quote-unquote everything. He also has a Grave Titan in there as an option, and a Chroma Angel of Fury in there as a possibility. So basically, those are the only 2 reanimate targets that he's got in the sideboard.
On the other side of the world, I think that it would be totally reasonable to see Jace and Red Elemental Blast come in. Jace, just being able to bounce your reanimated work, you can put a lot of effort into getting a card in your yard and then reanimating it, and just have it bounced back up by Jace. That's something that's totally reasonable. Yeah. And then Red Elemental Blast, great against not only Jin-Gitaxis being in play, but also just the cards being cast. You can Red Elemental Blast Force of Will. You can Red Elemental Blast any other blue spell. It's just an excellent, excellent way to disrupt a blue-based opponent.
Absolutely.
One of the classic best sideboard cards of all time.
Yeah, I think we were talking about that a little bit yesterday. Ely does have 3 copies of Show and Tell in the sideboard, which helps him out in case someone were to, for instance, bounce it with Jace.
Do you think that John Sukenik is going to bring in Terastodon as a way to perhaps natural order out a Terastodon and destroy Ely's reanimated creature?
Terastodon doesn't hit creatures.
Oh, you're right. It only hits lands, and in Ely's deck, it only hits lands.
Yeah.
Thank you for reminding me.
No problem.
It does hit Animate Dead.
That's true. That could help. It could also, just taking Ely's, knocking Ely's mana base out. I mean, the Reanimator decks typically play very low land counts. There's 17 in his deck, and they can run off of very few lands. But if, you you take all those lands out, they're starting completely over. But then again, sometimes all it takes is
one land,
black mana.
Yeah.
I definitely did that the other night. Turn 1, draw, discard Jin Gitaxias. Turn 2, play Reanimate. Play Swamp Reanimate. And I knew I wasn't against the blue deck, so I didn't have to worry about counter spells.
With that in mind, then, I think it's probably just going to be the 6 cards, 2 Jaces, 4 Red Elemental Blasts. I don't know that Grim Lavamancer is particularly effective in this matchup, and I could also imagine some number of perhaps Lightning Bolts getting cut as well.
As much as Iona seems like a perfect role player, I hesitate to put her in the main deck because so many decks are more than one color, and thinking about say blue-white, they have Swords to Plowshares and they have Jace, and it's kind of would you name white and then they just Jace bounce it, or do you name blue and then they just Swords it?
That's exactly actually the problem that my friend Ian DeGraff had when he played this at Gen Con. He said that the Iona, he often would put it into play and then be like, wow, what do I name here? Because he was afraid of Swords to Plowshares. So he would name white, and then the deck was largely a blue base, and they would brainstorm and ponder, and then they would cast a Jace and Force of Will it through their counter spells, and then just go, boop, bounce it.
Yeah, so it's I think it's definitely worth having in the 75. I don't know about having it in the main. Well, game 2. Ely begins with an Underground Sea into a Thoughtseize, and we get to see what Jonathan's working with. We have Jace, Tarmogoyf, Red Elemental Blast, Taiga, Tropical Island, and can you tell what that second card is? Is that a natural order?
That's a natural order.
It is.
You can see the little kitty on it.
Yeah, now I can see. So it's Jace, Natural Order, Goyf, Red Elemental Blast, Taiga, Tropical Island.
I mean, it's to my mind either a Goyf or a Red Blast these should take here. Red Blast it is.
Yeah, right now those 4 mana spells aren't so threatening. Goyf isn't threatening at this point. I mean, he'd right now be a 2/3. Probably quickly a 3/4 as soon as a fetch land shows up. And there's one there. But Goyf not as scared. Top decks a Sylvan Library. So Jonathan casts Sylvan Library, Ely brainstorming.
I love Sylvan Library in this matchup. I mean, basically what you're going to do with it is if you're playing it properly, you're not necessarily just going to, knock out 8 life right away. You should basically be cautious about when you pay the extra life for the extra cards, but you should aggressively do it as long as you're getting a good card out of it. For those of you who don't know, what Sylvan Library does is during your draw phase, you're able to activate the Sylvan Library, get 2 more cards, and then essentially you choose amongst those cards the best of the cards. Keep it, and if you want to keep extras, pay 4 life for every extra card. So you could actually just go next turn, effectively get an Ancestral Recall, pay 8 life, and there's an Entomb.
Ely Entombs. Is that still in response? I believe that's still in response to the library.
I think you're correct.
There's Jin Gitaxias. It's a foil. Yeah.
Okay. Of course it's a foil.
Yep. Might be foil Russian for us.
It is.
Foil
it is Ely. Ely does like that.
And there's an Exhume from Ely. So the library resolves. Passes the turn to Ely, who exhumes Jin Gitaxias into play, ends his turn, and draws 7 cards. Now, this is where it's crazy dangerous, and this is what the strength of this deck, I think. Once that Jin Gitaxias hits play and the turn ends, now he's got 7 new cards to protect that Jin Gitaxias throughout your turn. And now, if you don't have an answer during your turn, you're living off of the top of your deck. You're playing the entire rest of the game off of the top of your deck.
In a lot of ways, this is reminiscent of tricks, where you'd be lay the Necro, draw a full hand, Now you've got all kinds of answers. Get your illusions done on the next turn, and draw another full hand if you don't have them dead outright. And then, again, have protection for any of their answers. The fact that it mind twists them as well, well, that's just bonus.
Yeah. So it's interesting, too, because just like you were saying, that library is very relevant because it not only can... Jonathan has a lot more chances to dig for an answer to that Jin-Gitaxias. But sometimes you need more than one answer.
And it looks like he paid 8 life. He's going to start out here with Brainstorm. Now let's pretend for the sake of argument that Jonathan uses, say, Red Elemental Blast and successfully kills that Jin-Gitaxias. All that means, for the most part, is that he's still in terrible trouble because Ely has a hand size of 7.
Yeah, and it's the best 7 out of the probably, maybe 10, 12 cards that he had. So he's that's another thing. It's like if you don't swords, which of course Jonathan can't swords it. He doesn't have Swords to Plowshares. If you don't remove the Jin-Gitaxias from the game, it's just in the graveyard again, which is a fine place as far as Ely's concerned, because that's where he got it from in the first place. So there we have Red Elemental Blast. Mental Misstep for the Red Elemental Blast. Mental Misstep for the Mental Misstep. Alright, so that resolves, and now...
Force of Will, perhaps?
Force of Will, removing Jin-Gitaxias, second copy.
I think we're going to see another Force of Will.
Copy. And so Force of Will on Red Elemental Blast at the moment.
I thought I saw a Force of Will from John, but I could be wrong. Oh, there was not a Force of Will. What's this last card going to be?
Noble Hierarch.
Oh, boy. And
Noble Hierarch doesn't deal very well.
I'm going to predict that it's all over. John discards his hand, and Ely draws a card, because Jin-Gitaxias does not get rid of your draw phase either.
No, not at all. In fact...
So now he's got 7 cards in his hand still.
He gives you 7 extra draw phases.
6 cards in his hand. He reanimates Grave Titan.
There's a Grave Titan. There's 2 zombies look very suspiciously like dice. Very strange looking.
And then he's
zombies.
like, well, I've still got these 5 cards left in my hand. I'll draw 7 more, have 12 in my hand.
Yeah. It's pretty sick. I mean, it's funny. You see most decks, they play a Noble Hierarch, and then a Tarmogoyf, and then a Vendilion Cliff, like Jonathan's side. And on Ely's side, he plays a Jin-Gitaxias and a Grave Titan, and then maybe like an Angel of Despair, or like an Elish Norn, which is sitting on top of Ely's graveyard right now. So it's pretty sick. And Jonathan agrees.
That's it. Going to the next game.
It's really fun though. Like I mean, I don't know. I guess it's really fun from the Reanimator side anyway.
I think it's actually super incredible. I mean, it's so powerful. There was nothing like this back in older Reanimator decks. The closest you could do is maybe Iona to kind of, nullify a player's hand. Jin-Gitaxias basically says, use it or lose it. Yeah, your hand is really nullified. It's gone.
It really is, absolutely. And it's so, like I said, as Ely took the tools and is putting them to good use, but Jin-Gitaxias is really what revitalized this deck, I think. And, Reanimator decks lost Mystical Tutor back in what was it, just last year. And people kind of thought that's potentially spelled the end for the deck.
I think that did spell the end for the deck until it got something new. And the fresh blood is Jin-Gitaxias, simply because Jin is so powerful. Ely looks pretty happy there. He's like, oh, that felt good. I drew 14 extra cards.
Jonathan looked like he was having a blast too. And not just of the red elemental variety either. So, I don't know, I'm having a blast.
I love watching this format. I mean,
really do, yeah.
At the beginning of day 1 with the standard, we actually had a very legacy-like thing going on.
We certainly did.
Where we had so many different archetypes. Like, it was round 5, I think. No, round 6 before we had a repeat on an archetype.
I think so, yeah.
And usually in Legacy, it's the whole tournament before you have a repeat of an archetype. Like, you get to the very last round, and then you're getting your repeats.
Right.
It's like round 7, and you've got 14 different archetypes.
Another thing this match actually reminded me of from yesterday, for those of you who might not have seen it, there were 3 Eldrazi Titans in play in Standard yesterday at the same time. Now, it was definitely a style points thing, as celebrity judge Jeremy Smith keeps pointing out, that, his opponent kind of, didn't scoop early to the first 2 Eldrazi and said, go
Ulamog,
get an Emrakul. Yeah.
Kozilek, already in play, doesn't scoop, and he's like, well, what about this Emrakul? What if I have all 3 in play?
Go ahead and get the Emrakul.
Oh, okay, then I'll scoop.
But definitely fun time seeing all 3 Eldrazi in play, on camera, in Standard, just before they rotate, too. I mean, not many more chances we're going to get to see that in Standard.
I'm definitely happy that they ended up being as powerful and not too powerful like they were. I was worried that they were going to be piling on to what I consider the mythic problem, which is cards that everyone needs to own, and they're mythic.
Right.
And these were cards that didn't end up having that, largely because they have what I think of as the mythic solution. In my mind, mythic cards should be cards that even decks that want to play the card don't necessarily want for, except for in rare instances.
Right. I'm with you on that. I like that. I mean there's a lot of discussion about mythic rarity, and we've had it now for 3 years. Started with Shards of Alara, and at this point, I feel like I'm used to it, so it doesn't bother me too much. But
I mean, it's sort of like this, right? I could get used to, let's say, massive injustice, but it doesn't mean I don't want, good, let's say, Martin Luther King to come along and help change the way we think about how the world should be.
Sure.
And here we have the start. Jonathan Sukenik, Green Suns for 1, getting one of his 2. He has them in his Planeswalkers portion of his list, Dryad Arbor. Now, if Dryad Arbor actually was a Planeswalker, it would probably be very cheap. Maybe it would cost a green. It would be like a 1
ability. Yeah.
It'd be like...
So, mental misstep for that Green Sun Zenith. Ely keeping Jonathan from getting any acceleration there. And
foil Thoughtseize.
Force of Will, Natural Order, Red Elemental Blast, Taiga, and 2 cards that I'm having trouble seeing. Ely, though, at 16 life after that mental misstep, and then resolving this Thoughtseize. All right, spread out the cards, guys. I'm going to be able to see what those are on camera. Thank you very much. What do we... Oh, those are just lands, I think. They may be unhinged forests. So he takes the Red Elemental Blast. Makes sense.
And we go to turn 2. I think, was that a Tarmogoyf he just drew?
Maybe. We're going to probably find out right now. I believe that must be. No,
Green Sun Zenith. For 1. That'll get a Noble Hierarch. There's nothing else he can get.
And that's dangerous because that represents the win, or the Progenitus, I'm sorry. Because he does have lands in hand and a Natural Order.
Ponder from Ely. The 3-Moon Ponder. Maybe you remember the name of the old Ponder.
What do you mean?
Portent?
I remember Portent, yeah.
Yeah. Before Ponder was Ponder, there was a card called Portent. It just made you wait until the next upkeep before you could draw the card.
Yeah. Alright, so Misty Rainforest from Ely after that Ponder. And passes the turn, so Jonathan could theoretically just play Forest, Natural Order. And he has a Force of Will backup. I don't know if he has another blue card. But there it is.
There it is.
Forest, Natural Order.
Now we're going to
sacrifices Noble Hierarch.
What happens? I mean, we got a Counterspell War here, Force of Will. And Jonathan had a Force of Will in his hand.
He did, but I don't know if he has another blue card. I don't remember any other blue cards.
I don't remember another blue card as well.
Ely's still deciding what to remove, and it is a mental misstep.
And he does have it, the Vendilion Click in hand. I believe that empties up John's hand. John is empty-handed now. Natural Order resolves. Will he get a Terastodon? Does he have it, or will he get a Progenitus?
Oh, we're gonna slow roll it.
Progenitus.
There's Progenitus. Brainstorm from Ely.
Now, Progenitus has this really, really cool ability.
What, protection from everything?
Everything. Nothing can touch it.
It's not really even an ability. It's just like a...
I could protection from everything is an ability.
It's an ability, but I mean, hey, I'm going to protection from everything you. I'm going to activate protection from everything. It's just a weird word to, or weird, a weird thing to say is an ability, but I get you. It's technically an ability.
You know, Emrakul has 15 abilities.
Yeah.
No, count them.
Well, he's 15-15.
No, he actually has 15 abilities.
Go ahead, you name them all.
Annihilator 6, that's 6 abilities.
Oh, okay.
And then you can go through and you'll find out he has all 15.
Okay. I haven't really looked at it that way, but I believe you. In the meantime, Ely's digging for an answer. In the form of likely a phantasmal image. Just one copy, but he could also, knowing that Jonathan is empty-handed, could have been digging for a way to entomb a phantasmal image and then reanimate it somehow.
This is a very short clock. I mean,
yeah.
This does turn off Ely's... Once he gets hit, it turns off his ability to use the card Reanimate.
Yeah. So... Did he...
And there's about $2,600 in play. Oh, is he scooping?
Yeah, I feel like I was a little bit confused. He just picked up his lot. Oh, he's playing Ponder. That's what it was. What was he I don't know what he was thinking. I guess he was thinking I don't have a way to answer this at this point. Yeah. I didn't see the Ponder on the table.
Yeah, I mean, let's pretend he gets Sphinx of the Steel Wind, right? It actually, even out, he gets hit down to 4. Sphinx of the Steel Wind attacks, and he gets hit down to dead. So that doesn't work. Let's pretend he gets Imperial Archangel. He gets attacked, and Imperial Archangel dies.
Right.
Let's pretend that he gets Elishnorn. He gets attacked, goes down to 6, attacks back, and then dies. There literally is nothing in his deck that survives long enough to
The only
deal
thing
with
he
that.
could get was Phantasmal